All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm your host, Chris Crenshaw, and we are live from the 704. Once again for episode 229 of the 815 Exchange. And well, listen, all right, this week we have had the college football playoffs kick off to we'll call it interesting results. We'll say interesting results. We also had Alexander Usyk and Tyson Fury 2, and we got a very clear, definitive answer of who the best heavyweight in the world is and who's an all-time great. We got a very clear answer to that. We had Juju versus Paige. I mean, it was a big Saturday. We had J. Cole drop a 2014 Forest Hills Drive Deluxe. Dropped a little 8-pack for us. So we have that to talk about. We got plenty to talk about this week, all right? We got plenty to talk about. And, of course, we got some football teams that are in form, and I mean both European and American, that are in form and not in form at all. So, yeah, plenty to talk about. As always, remember to like, share, and subscribe if you guys are enjoying the content. It is December 22nd when I'm recording this. It'll be December 23rd when you see this, probably, or if you watch it when it comes out. So, Merry Christmas in advance. All right, Merry Christmas. Do you think it's too late to tell my people what I want for Christmas? Or, am I just kind of chopped? Y'all let me know. Y'all let me know. Three days before. You think it might mean Amazon is pretty fast, but is it that fast? I don't know. So, Merry Christmas. All right, Merry Christmas. Hope all of y'all had a very good. I think we'll have another episode before next year, so we won't say New Year, but yeah. Merry Christmas. Everything winding down in my life. I'm sure it is in yours. As always, though, timestamps are provided in the description, also embedded in the video. Everything you're looking for can be found in the description. Social media links can be found there, and it's also in the outro. Alright, so this intro's been long enough. I rambled a little bit, so now it's time to get to business. Alright, we are not going to go college football. No, we are going to go with boxing. Like I said, we had the heavyweight title on the line once again in Saudi Arabia for His Excellency. Yes, okay. Alexander Usyk versus Fury 2. Very big fight feel, and it ended up being a very good fight. Alright, I will say this. Alright, before we say who won and we prance, even though you can probably tell obviously by whatever photo I took up. Very good fight. Alright, it was I'm not gonna say it was match of the year or anything, but it was a very good fight. Alright, it was a very good scrap. Both of them showed why they're elite, showed why they are the two best heavyweights we've seen of this era. We saw the skill from Usyk, the constant pressure, and that is what ended up winning him this fight, in my opinion. But we also saw Fury be able to use his length, be able to, show off that just like that weird style it feels like Fury has. That, I don't know, the Gypsy King, all right? That's so definitively Tyson Fury, and he had some success. He had a lot more success, I think, in this fight than he did in the first one, and he made it very close. However, in the end, Usyk's pressure, just too much. He's just a different breed. He's just a different breed. And that breed is called all-time great. Alright? He is one of the greatest boxers of all time, and this win solidifies it. This performance solidifies it, in my opinion, for Alexander Usyk. He has a flawless resume. Every contender in heavyweight, he beat him. He was the undisputed cruiserweight champion, along with being the undisputed heavyweight champion. He's an Olympic gold medalist. He has won at every level, at every weight class. He has done it. All right? That is the definitive definition of an all-time great in boxing. And that is what Alexander Usyk is. He is. He's one of the greatest to ever do it. So, yeah. Usyk takes out the Gypsy King for at least one last time. I don't know, maybe down the line, though I very much so doubt it. I think I could very much so see Tyson kind of winding this down. I think maybe we get that one fight with AJ, maybe. Unfortunately, a few years after we probably wanted it. But, I think we may get that, and then he just kind of rides off into the sunset. But, yeah, Usyk proves he is one of the, if not the, definitive fighter of this generation. Now, CFB, baby. College football. Let's talk about it. We're just calling this the first round, I guess, right? This is what first round. So, interesting setup, of course. There was lots of talk about who should have been in and who should have been out. And I'm gonna get this out. I'm gonna get this out the box before we even talk about Notre Dame, Indiana. All right, because I got something to say. All right, I got something to say. Okay, because I saw a lot of talking from SEC teams, even though y'all got very much so humbled by the end of Saturday. I saw a lot of talking from Alabama. I saw a lot of talking from SEC, just, supporters. Ole Miss. Saw a little South Carolina, but y'all were a little bit more so out the way. It was mostly, Bama and Ole Miss. I saw a lot of complaining, crying about we should have been in the playoffs. This is why we should have been in the playoffs. Wow, committee, y'all got it so correct. Lane Kiffin was crying. Saban had some more. Listen, I saw a lot of crying. I saw a lot of crying and complaining. And here's the thing. If you wanted to be in the playoffs, there's a very simple fix, right? It's not adjusting your schedule. It's not any of that. If you wanted to make the playoffs, if you wanted to be a part of this, if you wanted to be a part of this much more relevant discussion than whatever y'all are doing, very simple fix. Win. To quote Al Davis, just win, baby. Just win. Win. If Ole Miss wanted to make the playoff, maybe, your star quarterback doesn't choke versus Florida and that ends up with your third loss. Alabama, maybe you score more than 3 points versus Oklahoma in 2024. Once again, I want to reestablish. They scored 3 points against OU in 2024. Had them looking like when the Boz was back there. And I'm supposed to take you seriously as a playoff team. We did them better than SMU. We did them better than India. I don't want to hear it. You want to make the playoffs, win. Even with your dirt non-conference schedule, if you win the games, you're in. Tennessee won. That's why they made it. Georgia won. That's why they made it. You want to make the playoff, win games. Don't lose and then be like, oh, but we should have just edged in. No, win games. That's the easy fix. If you deserve to be here, then you would have won those games. If Ole Miss and Alabama deserved and belonged in the playoff, they would have won. They wouldn't have lost 3 games. You've given me no reason to believe that you were worthy or wouldn't have gotten your stomped in like what we saw this week. What? I don't care about your hypotheticals. Y'all are undefeated in hypotheticals. Make a play. Make a play. Please, make a play when it matters. That's what I need y'all to do. That's why y'all didn't make it. Show up when it matters and you'll be in the playoffs. So, now that we handled that, let's talk about what happened in round 1. Like I said, Indiana, spoiler alert, yeah, this was not, this game looks way closer on the scoreboard than it really was. Notre Dame wins the state championship 27-17. The last 5 minutes of this game, Indiana finally decided, Signetti finally was like, oh, let me stop calling this so conservative. Oh, let me actually play football. And Indiana decided to play football for the last 5 minutes and try to make this a game. But it was far too late. They'd spotted them 27 points. It was 27-3. All right, 27-3. It was too little too late. Jeremiah Love had a 98-yarder that really just felt like it broke the spine. All right, it was like, okay. after that run, it was like, yeah. You just kind of got the vibe of the way this game was going to go. And that happened a couple times in the games this weekend. It was like a very early play really dictated what was going to happen. Like you could see, all right, the lights are too bright for one team. And the lights were too bright for Indiana. They weren't the worst suspect, but the lights were too bright. 10 TFLs, by the way, of not just Rourke, obviously, but of the Hoosiers in this game for the Fighting Irish. Xavier Watts, star safety, he had 10 tackles to lead everybody. And yeah, Notre Dame took care of business, okay? Indiana didn't show up. They showed up, but they didn't show up to win. They showed up to survive, and that's not going to win in the college football playoff. That's not going to get it done. So, yeah. Indiana, cool experience. Nice to see you. You deserve to be here. But, Notre Dame came to play at home, and y'all weren't ready for the lights for the first 55 minutes of this game. So, yeah, this is how this goes. Notre Dame advances. Penn State and SMU. Oh, my goodness. Kevin Jennings, I can still smell the piss that was running down his leg when he walked into that stadium. I don't know if it was the cold or if it was the nerves or what it was, but he was shaking. He was very visibly shaking, okay? He had to be. Because, one of the worst performances we've seen probably since Jackson Dart just completely combusted, speaking of that game against Florida. Not to hate on the boy Jax. I do love my boy. I do love some Jackson Dart. But he blew it that time. And so did Kevin Jennings in this game, all right? 2 pick sixes to kick off the scoring here. He threw one in the first quarter, the next one literally at the start of the second quarter, and SMU was dead in the water. It was dead in the water. He had nothing. I mean, had absolutely nothing. He ends up throwing 3 picks in this game. 2 of those to Dom DeLuca. 2 pick sixes, like I said. Abdul Carter, now to be fair, in the Penn State defensive line, were on him like white on rice. All right, they were consistently in that backfield. Carter looked every bit the Bernard winner he probably should have been. Okay, he looked like that guy. I've sung his praises all year, and this game was very, very much so cathartic for me as an Abdul Carter truther. But KJ was terrible. All right, he was terrible. All right, there's no other way to put it. He was terrible. There's not a single positive thing I'm going to sit here and talk about with Kevin Jennings. In fact, I don't understand why they didn't take him out. Why was Kevin Jennings left in this game? I know Preston Stone is in the transfer portal, but this is the college football playoff, my boy. And Jennings won the job this year. Put Stone in. If he sucks, he can't be any worse than Jennings. I mean, you quite literally cannot be any worse than 2 pick sixes to pretty much effectively end the game in the second quarter. You can't be that much worse. So again, I don't know why Jennings wasn't pulled. I'd have put him after the second pick six and been like, you know what? You don't got it. All right? If Stone's stinking up the joint, then we can bring him back. But you don't got it. I don't understand that, coaching decision to just let Jennings sink. And yeah, Penn State overwhelmed SMU. They were not ready for the lights. All right? It was literally the CFB 25. They were in Penn State, in Happy Valley, and the stadium pulse was way too high. All right? There was question marks all over the field, and SMU looked very questionable. All right? Very, very questionable, and Penn State gets it done 38-10. The best game of the day was Texas and Clemson, which may or may not be surprising depending on how you felt about Ohio State and Tennessee. But the best game of the day, the best game of the weekend, I guess, since we have to include Notre Dame, Indiana as well, was Texas and Clemson. All right, and this game was a little bit closer than the score, may say. Clemson made a little bit of a comeback here. Ends up finishing 38-24. Texas does get the win. But Clemson made it a one-score game at the beginning of the fourth quarter, but then immediately gives up a 77-yarder to Jaden Blue, who pretty much puts it away. He had 146 and 2 touchdowns in this game. Trey Wisner had 110 and 2 TDs. So, ladies and gentlemen, as a team, Texas had 292 and 4 touchdowns. Clemson could not stop the run to save their life, and that's what cost them this game. And that's and the crazy thing, that's been the thing that has pushed Texas. So you would think that's the one thing, right? If you're playing Texas at this point, you got to be thinking, we got to stop the run. Let Quinn Ewers try to beat us, because Quinn's not beating anybody. He got outplayed by Cade in this game, which is now the second time in his career he's taken a matchup loss to Cade. And we might need to have some conversations. All right? We may need to have some conversations. Klubnik was the better Texas relative quarterback. I don't need to give you the story. Y'all already know they played at Westlake and Southlake. Y'all got it. All right? Y'all got it. Cade went for 336, 3 touchdowns. He did have a pick. TJ Moore, who got that, crunch it to one score, 9 receptions, 116 and a touchdown. But it wasn't enough. Like I said, the Horns ran wild on Clemson, and that blue 77-yarder was a backbreaker. And a backbreaker, honestly, for a neutral viewer, just wanting like a really good game, because it was just like Clemson never, ever, ever recovered from that. And they really never recovered from when they let up in like the second quarter and like Texas run it up to like 28-7. That was a really big blow. Now they came back, like I said, of course, in that third quarter out of halftime. But again, you can't spot teams this many points and try to make it happen. It's very, very difficult. Clemson couldn't overcome it in Texas. So the Horns advance. But Cade Klubnik was the better quarterback from Texas. So I think some conversations need to be had, even though I think Cade is staying. I don't expect him to declare. But I think some conversations need to be had about Cade's, draft position. Next, Ohio State and Tennessee. All right, OSU and Tennessee. Now pretty much every team, even in the FCS, all right, we've seen the reoccurring gimmick of players warming up shirtless in freezing weather as, the whole tough guy thing. And Tennessee did it and killed it, all right? They killed it, and I don't mean they killed it in a good way. They absolutely murdered it into the fact that I don't want to see it anymore. I don't want to see it because it holds no weight. We heard all throughout this week, all right? I haven't been too kind to Ohio State fans, so here you go. We heard all this week about how Ohio Stadium was about to become Neyland North, and the game happened, and they were like, oh, they're singing Rocky Talk. Oh, there's like 30-40% Tennessee fans. They have taken over Ohio State. And then the game started, and Tennessee got knocked on their back and didn't get up. Didn't get up. Didn't get up. We got a very, very definitive answer on something I've been thinking about the best receiver in America. Because I understand that he's a freshman. I really do. And I know T-Mac is there. And if you want to go off pure talent, maybe Luther Burden, you want to have in that conversation, two of the top prospects in this year's draft are phenomenal stars, right? Even on his own team, Emeka Ibunka is going under the radar as a potential star receiver in the league. But I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not going to lie to you. Yeah, Jeremiah Smith is probably the best receiver in the country. He's very likely the best receiver in this country. Tennessee has been shaky this entire year, and they got exposed. And it started when JJ took the top off and put Ohio State up 7-0. Yeah, that was the beginning of the end. All right, Nico was, I don't even know if he was getting haunted by ghosts. All right, I don't know what he was seeing. All right, but it wasn't good. It was a whole lot of red, to quote Playboy Cardi, and he had to turn into Lamar Jackson for most of this game. But yeah, the lights were far too bright for Tennessee. They were not ready for this moment, and regardless of how many fans they had in Ohio Stadium, it didn't matter because the team didn't show up to play. Will Howard goes for 311, 2 touchdowns and a pick. Not his best game, but you know what? A very solid game, did what had to be done. Henderson and Judkins go combined for 4 touchdowns, 2 apiece. JJ, like I said, went off in this game. 6 receptions, 103, and 2 touchdowns for the best receiver in America. Hell, JT and Jack Sawyer, JTT and Captain Jack actually looked like the recruiting rankings. They actually looked like the forces they were supposed to be. They had 2 sacks. Jack had 1.5. So yeah, good stuff there. I mean, again, probably one of the best, the most complete wins. Actually, I'm going to say it. This was the most complete game Ohio State's played all season. By far. The most complete game they have played all season long. And what a time to have it. All right, what a time to have it. This is how you're supposed to respond coming off a loss so backbreaking the way that Michigan could have really shut them down. All right, they could have been cooked. All right, especially with the way that game ended with the brawl and them getting clowned. It could have been wraps for Ohio State. But you know what? They said Tennessee thinks they're going to come in here talking crazy, and we just gonna shut him up. And that's exactly what Ohio State did. So credit to Ryan Day for getting his team ready, because they showed up. All right, they showed up and they showed out at home, and yeah, just dominated. All right, Jeremiah Smith torching the Tennessee secondary, which has been suspect all season, and we finally found it out. That defense was very good early in the season. We talked about it, but over the season, you started to see more and more holes, and Ohio State exploited every last one of them. So yeah. Ohio State advances next. Well, actually, we won't. All right, we won't be talking about college football next week because New Year's Day is during the week. So we'll be talking about it in 2 weeks. But yeah, for now, CFB. All right, first round in the books. Kind of showed us that maybe we just needed 8 teams instead of 12. All right, maybe we just needed 8. All right, ladies and gentlemen, and now for entertainment. All right, Doom Prophecy still rocking on. I'm very excited for, of course, y'all know I film this on Sunday, so very excited for tonight to see this finale. Also, still been watching JJK Season 2. It's so good. All right, it's so good. Definitely one of I completely get the hype. At this point, I completely get the hype. That's been good. Continuing my Game of Thrones rewatch, that's been good. So yeah, that's the TV roundup. I didn't go see anything in movies, even though I know Moana is still, I think, rapping. They're still cooking up. Something I did want to see, probably when it drops on streaming, did drop this Friday though. Can't remember the name currently, but yeah, that I'll hop back in the cinema bag for that when that comes. For now, music. All right, we did have a few things. All right, a few things, nothing major. All right, nothing major. I guess SZA dropped. I didn't listen to it. But yeah, SZA dropped. She was late, very late, but she did drop. I heard it was some good stuff. I mean, it's SZA. It's SZA. She's great. All right, SZA's great. So not surprised that a lot of people liked it. You can let me know if you listen to it. I think it's the Lana Deluxe, even though honestly it was like 15 new tracks, so it should just been another album. But I digress. Things I did listen to. All right, J. Cole dropped. Of course, it's the 10-year anniversary of Forest Hills Drives. So, and of course, he's going through his rollout where he goes to all of his old albums. So he dropped a deluxe to Forest Hills Drive, some unreleased stuff. And yeah, it was all very good. I mean, it was all very good. I think the only thing I didn't, and it wasn't even really that I didn't like the song. It was just like, it wasn't the vibe. But, it was like, obviously, I think that was the last song. So it was just like an outro type song. So it wasn't even that bad. Keep Having Dancing was my favorite of the 8 that we got. But yeah, I've heard different favorites from all of my people. So yeah. J. Cole came through. Much appreciado. More good stuff. Listen, I know y'all want to kick him out of Big Three. Again, I still don't completely co-sign him, even though I get his reasoning. I still wish he would have, participated in the battle, or should I say the war that we had this summer, or actually this spring. But it is what it is. All right, it is what it is. He's still J. Cole. He's still great. Still one of the best of our generation. He's still in the Big Three. I don't care. All right, Cole, good stuff. Go listen to it. Co-sign for me. Louu, going overseas. All right, P Money doesn't miss. He did drop some stuff with P Money, K9, and then he also dropped Ivan Tony, which was very good. And then he also dropped, lastly, Chores, which actually was my favorite of the 3. All right, so shout out to Louu. Came up off of No Pixel. You may also know him as Sparky Kane. All right, for my RP watchers. But yeah, he is translated into an emerging career on the British rap scene. So yeah, and really just the British music scene as a whole. So yeah, shout out to Louu, good stuff. People looking to get in some new hip hop, especially some overseas. You got the cosign for me. Go check that out. The entire project is called, it's just a little, EP called Every Dog Has Its Day. So yeah, go check that out. No promo for me, but some good stuff. Now, let's talk about the National Football League, all right? The NFL this week. Starting off, all right, and we got Thursday and Saturday games, so we got to go way back. But Thursday, all right, Broncos Chargers, and it looked like for a second it was going to be a nice preview of what would come in the college football playoff. It looked like this game was going to be, because for a second before halftime, it looked like it was about to be Broncos BTA. All right, they were about to put belt to on the Chargers. However, all right, the Chargers and Mr. Harbaugh had other ideas, and they came all the way back. With a huge second half and do win this game 34-27 to keep their playoff hopes alive and keep their hopes of, I guess they can't win the division, of course, because of, a certain team in Kansas City, but keep the playoff hopes alive and, of course, get a big win and tie themselves with the Broncos at 9-6. So, yeah, getting that tiebreaker, huge stuff. Bo Nix, all right, even though Jaden Daniels probably wrapped up Rookie of the Year with what he did in today's game, Bo Nix maybe is looking at second or probably third. Brock Bowers is still Brock Bowers. So maybe Rookie of the Year isn't wrapped up. I know, again, we tend to give it to quarterbacks. Jaden hasn't played great throughout, the last part of the season before this game. So listen, I still want to hear arguments for Brock Bowers. But nonetheless, Bo still needs to be, getting some consideration there. For a top 3 spot. All right, a top 3 spot, 263 and 2 touchdowns, but it wasn't enough. All right, Jay Herbo, I'm giving his name. 284 and 2 touchdowns. Gus Edwards, however, carried my fantasy team with 2 touchdowns himself. Ladd McConkey continues to have a great rookie campaign. He had 6 and 87 to lead the Chargers. And like I said, all right, I'm behind the Gus bus, behind Jay Herbo, and behind some great second half adjustments defensively and offensively. The Chargers get it done. Stay in the hunt. Saturday, the Chiefs, voodoo continues. All right, the Texans gave them a hell of a battle, but it was not to be. The Chiefs get it done 27-19. This game changed, unfortunately, when that Tank Dell play happened. All right, I don't need to show you. That's definitely not the photo I'm throwing up. But yeah, I don't need to go through it. Y'all saw what happened. They said it was only like a dislocated kneecap. It looked a lot worse than that, and it was really unfortunate with, I think that was Nico that just kind of was diving and just kind of fell, and that's just super, super unfortunate. But the game was over effectively after that, respectfully. All right? Just the mental state of the Texans just was not the same. Fireburn literally misses the extra point. It was the voodoo. It was the Chiefs' voodoo. I don't know what they built Arrowhead on, but it was something illegal. Pat was running once again. He's got his limp. His ankle's injured, which means he's tapped in. All right, and the Chiefs find a way once again in a one-score game to win. Once again, all right, that's the story. Stroud, again, everything changed after that Dell injury. He ends up with 2 interceptions in this game. Did have 2 TDs and 244, but yeah, nothing as clean. Tank was really, it looked like the old Texans for a little bit in that first half, and then it just, it just fell apart after that. So, yeah, really unfortunate. Hoping for the best for Tank. But, yeah, Chiefs find a way to do it again. Ravens take care of the Steelers in a very big game, 34-17. They needed this. All right, they needed this. They needed this game. Simply put, this was a must-win. Not that it was going to kick them out of the playoffs or anything like that, but this was a must-win for all intents and purposes for the Baltimore Ravens. For them to be considered a legitimate contender or anything like any type of Super Bowl aspirations or just be a serious team, you should beat the brakes off of the Pittsburgh Steelers, especially at home. I can almost excuse what happened earlier this season with that loss, but this one would have been no. Mm-mm. We're definitely in Lamar's Marino territory. But the Ravens continue to look like, a more complete team. Defense continues to step up. Marlon Humphrey had that pick six that effectively put this game away in the fourth quarter. Lamar had 207 and 3 touchdowns through the air. King Henry had 162 rushing. Lamar also had, or Zay Flowers, had 5 and 100 to put him over 1,000 yards. So yeah, big for Zay. Kyle Van Noy has 1.5 sacks, and the Ravens get it done 34-17, as I said. Russ he was modern Russ, which is not, great all the time. So that pretty much should tell you how the offense went for the Steelers. But like I said, man. Oh, and prayers for Justice Hill. That was very scary. Even though obviously probably just a concussion, he just got knocked out. That was very scary. All right, that was two scary injuries on Saturday. Like, there was a terrible 2 games. Like, if you were like a parent trying to decide whether you want your kid to play football, between Justice getting knocked out and Tank's leg just completely snapping, it was a terrible day. All right, it was an absolutely terrible day, but it was a good day to be a Ravens fan because they do beat their chieftain rival and take command of that AFC North. Now, let's talk about the Sunday slates. All right, the Rams and the Jets. Y'all know how this goes. All right, if you believe in the Jets at this point, I don't know what to tell you. Rams stay alive in the playoff race with a 19-9 win. Again, very good defensive battle. However, if you came for offense, this was not the game for you. So, that's all I'm going to say about that. Congrats to the Rams. Jets, y'all suck, but we know this. Oh boy. It's just, wow. I'm almost glad because we can stop acting like the Cowboys are making the playoffs because I feel like Jerry was getting a little too excited with the win streak we're on. But the Commanders somehow, some way manage with 5 turnovers, 5 in this game. They somehow manage at the crack of dawn, at the end of the road, managed to find a way to the light and beat the Philadelphia Eagles. With 6 seconds to go, the game winner to Jamison Crowder. I don't know what the Eagles linebacker was doing. That was terrible. That was terrible pass coverage. He was lost, and they exploited it. So fair play. But the Eagles should have had this game. This should have been a win. All right, even with how it ended, shouldn't even been there. All right, because Devontae Smith with a horrible drop on, I think it was 3rd down. Horrible drop on 3rd down. I mean, the most basic textbook as a receiver. I know you practiced that slant 50 million times in your life probably, okay? And he just dropped it. I mean, just dropped it. Straight up dropped it, and he dropped the Eagles' number 1 seed over chances with that, with that play. Because that was it. That was it. All right, and then they didn't waste any time before giving the field goal, and they just gave it right back, and they went right down the field, and Jaden Daniels proved why a lot of people think he is going to be Rookie of the Year. He finishes with 5 touchdowns in this game, 258 yards. He did have 2 interceptions, but like I said, a huge game. Over 300 yards total, 5 touchdowns. You can't ask for much more. Crowder had 2 TDs, and of course the game winner. Zacchaeus also 5 receptions, 70 yards, and 2 TDs. And yeah, nothing really too crazy to talk about defensively if you couldn't tell with the score, but offensively, a big game for the Commanders, a big game for JD. Now, the other big story from this game was Jalen Hurts getting concussed, which of course also probably altered how this game went. But Pickett wasn't horrible. All right, he was Kenny Pickett, but again, still, he did enough to win this game. This game is not on Kenny Pickett by any means, but with Hurts, maybe things go a little bit different. Barkley did go for 150 and 2 touchdowns, stays on pace to break that rushing record. AJ had 8 receptions, 97 yards, and what I thought would have been the touchdown and really made a couple plays that I thought could have been the dagger in this game, but it just was not to be. And like I said, Jaden Daniels, let us nuts hang a little bit on that last drive. So yeah, credit where credit's due. All right, Commanders have done a wondrous job building that team around him and really building a culture that supports a rookie quarterback, contrary to what the Bears have done. So yeah, you've seen the results. Daniels looks like the Rookie of the Year. Caleb is fighting for his life. So But yeah, Washington stays alive, stays in the playoff contention. They will not be eliminated this week, and they get a huge upset win over the Eagles, who are going to be left reeling from this win with everything that happened, honestly. The Falcons took care of the Giants 34-7. Again, nothing of note. This was business as usual. Penix made his first start. Did not have a touchdown, though. Unless he had one rushing, but I don't think he did. Yeah, it was just Bijan. So yeah, Penix, he was okay. Showed some flashes. Nothing too crazy. And again, the Giants are the worst team in the league. Number 1 overall pick on the way. The Carolina Panthers take out the Arizona Cardinals in OT here in the 704. 36-30. Chuba puts it away with a 21-yarder, broke 2 tackles on the way to get that. That felt like sweet, sweet revenge from that fumble he had to cost him an overtime game earlier this year. It felt very good to see Chuba kind of finish that off. Yeah, 152 and 2 touchdowns. All right, that looked like Oklahoma State. Chuba out there today. Bryce Young continues to turn the corner. He went 17 for 26, 158 and 2 touchdowns. Kyler threw one of the worst interceptions I have ever seen in my life. I mean, I don't know what he was trying. I kind of understand what he was trying to do because it looked like he had Wilson kind of open in the end zone, but Kyler has a big arm, so it was like he threw it right to the DB. Because it was like he was trying to throw it out of bounds, but also keep it in, and it didn't, like, I don't know if it was like a brain fart or what happened, but he threw one of the worst picks I've ever seen. With that said, Chad Ryland still hit a 58-yarder to send us to OT, and the Cardinals did have a chance to win this game, but could not take advantage. All right, James Conner had a big game, but like I said, could not take advantage, and the Panthers will not die. All right, they will not die, ladies and gentlemen, okay? This is the most enjoyable tank currently running, and it is going on here in the 704. So yeah, shout out to the Panthers for showing some guts, showing some guile, as they say. Bengals take care of the Browns. All right, Jamar Chase, Joe Burrow, you know the drill. 3 touchdowns for Burrow. Chase had a touchdown. T. Higgins, he threw one from like his stomach to T. Higgins. So yeah, Burrow's doing Burrow stuff. And yeah, that's pretty much everything to note there. Colts took care of the Titans 38-30. Very, very, surprisingly interesting game from 2 teams that are pretty much, kind of, the Titans are dead in the water and the Colts are just really mid. So, probably not the game you expected to be a highlight this week, but ended up being. Mason Rudolph started for the Titans this week, and he threw 3 interceptions. And one of those, of course, ended the game. So, to be fair, it was probably more like 2. Though I don't know who he was trying to throw to on that last play. But anyways, Rudolph, not a great game. AR had a very AR game. So, like 100 yards, probably, 1 pick, 1 touchdown, 1 touchdown. Jonathan Taylor, really carried the load here. All right, 218 yards and 3 touchdowns. All right, AFC Offensive Player of the Week potentially. Okay, JT looked like Wisconsin JT, or really just Colts JT because he has been that guy also in the league. So yeah, Taylor looks good. He dominates. AR did have a touchdown rushing. Like I said, it was the epitome of an Anthony Richardson game in 2024. So yeah, Colts get it done, 38-30. Good stuff. Lions get their get back against the Bears, 34-17. Again, no surprise. The Bears are, they're nothing. Pretty much tanking at this point. Caleb had a good game, though. 334 and 2 touchdowns. Not a perfect game, but a good game. All right, you'll take it. You'll take a performance like he had today. Showed a lot of good stuff. So, yeah, that's what a franchise quarterback is supposed to look like. Keenan Allen had a big game. 9 receptions, 141 and a touchdown. Shout out to the 336 legend. But Jared Goff goes for 336 and 3 touchdowns. J-Mo go off. Gibbs went off even without Monty. So, yeah, the Lions get their get back after a really tough week last week with a lot of injuries in that L. So, yeah, that's, all right, those were the 1 o'clocks. Of course, you will see me after this cut for the foes. And just like that, we're back. All right, just like that, we're back. Minnesota and Seattle. All right, this game went back and forth. All right, back and forth. This was a very, very pivotal game for the Seahawks, by the way. I don't know if this eliminated them from playoff contention necessarily, but it was a big, big, big loss. All right, it was a big loss for them in a very winnable game. All right, very, very winnable game, but the Vikings continue to prove. And you know what? Fight on. All right, fight on because Sam Darnold is that guy. I've been convinced after what I witnessed on my television today, watching this game versus Seattle, I'm a believer. I'm a believer once again. Sometimes it's just the environment, and it feels like Darnold might be in the right environment in Minnesota. He's played great all season, and he played great in this game. 246 yards in the hat trick for Darnold. Jettas had 10 receptions, 144 and 2 touchdowns. Addison got the other one. Again, this Vikings team I don't know if they are necessarily a Super Bowl contender, but they are certifiably one of the best teams in the NFC. They've proven, this is a solid Seahawks team. They went into that environment and they won, got it done, found a way to win, played well. So, yeah, with the Lions, banged up, with the Eagles showing that they're not perfect, as they just lost to the Commanders today. They've shown some, signs of having kryptonite. Vikings might have an opportunity there, all right? Especially when the defense comes together the way they did at the end of this game. Dallas Turner with a pick, Theo Jackson with the pick to put this game away of Geno Smith. Again, I'm not saying Minnesota's there, but they show me a lot. Geno, up and down game, 314, 3 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Of course, one of those was to end the game. JSN hit 1,000 yards and continues to just have a phenomenal year. 8 receptions, 95 yards and a touchdown. He is very much so looking like the JSN we expected. But, as I so famously say, it was not enough, and the Vikings do get the win 27-24. Bills take out the Patriots, all right? And they left this way too close, all right? This was the most Chiefs game I've seen from the Bills all season, all right? All season long. This game was entirely too close for comfort for Buffalo fans. Y'all probably didn't clinch until that thing hit 0, okay? Because it took the entire it took a fumble recovery in the end zone to take the lead, 10-point lead. Thought you'd be okay, but the offense just was not functioning the way we've seen Josh Allen and this offense run really through everybody this entire season. They just didn't have it. Patriots, for some reason, had their number today. And again, made this very, very close. Drake May hit Hunter Henry with, 1 minute and 13 seconds to go. And we had a ball game, all right? But the Bills were able to hold on and just escape, all right? Even though they are at home, this very much so felt like an escape. James Cook did hit 100 yards in this game. Booty, May played a very good game. But yeah, Bills, touch and go, all right? Touch and go, but they got the win. And that is what matters. Raiders take out the Jags in the tank off. So yeah, they are now tied at 3-12. Jaguars are probably very happy, improving their draft position. Again, nothing too much to remark about this game. Brock Bowers is that guy. All right, Brian Thomas Jr. is that guy. All right, 2 of the best, rookie receiving threats. Did what they did. But yeah, don't make a mistake, ladies and gentlemen. This was the tank bowl. All right, this was the tank bowl. Dolphins took care of the 49ers to end this off here. Miami needed this desperately, just for morale. I don't know if they're making the playoffs, but just for morale reasons, they needed this win, okay? It's been a rough season of what will feel like a lot of missed opportunity for the Dolphins, considering the hype that they carried coming into the season of maybe can they make that jump into the elite, and we found out no, they're very mid. So yeah, a win like this later in the season definitely helps build some of that confidence back. But again, it's still going to be a very disappointing season, but it could be worse. You could be on the other side of the coin with the 49ers, who have been decimated by injuries. Brock Purdy was their leading rusher with 26 yards, and that should pretty much tell you how this one went. A-Chain went over 100. Tua did his thing. So yeah, A-Chain actually had a really big day. 190 yards total, 6 receptions, 70 yards receiving. So yeah, saw a lot of people, hitting him on a fantasy parlay. So y'all probably made some money this week. But yeah, Miami gets it done, 29-17. And ladies and gentlemen, that was week 16 in the National Football League. And well, that brings me to the sacred Roundup. And yes, all right, we got some things to talk about here. Paige versus Juju was one of the headliners, all right, for the entire week, okay? One of the headlining events for the entire week. Paige Beckers versus Juju Watkins. A lot of people before Hannah Hidalgo started, doing Hannah Hidalgo things, probably would have said this is the matchup to determine who is the best player in women's college basketball today, right? The number 1 pick in this coming year's draft versus the number 1 pick next year, I guess. Yeah, Juju. Well, again, Juju could, wait till her senior year, but we'll see. All right, we'll see. But yeah, Juju versus Paige. Of course, UConn knocked Juju and USC out of the tournament last year. So, in UConn, in stores, could Southern California get their revenge? Could Juju get her revenge? And ladies and gentlemen, they dominated the majority. All right, for that first half, it was a dominant first half for USC. It was all USC. I think Juju had 16 at halftime. Paige was shooting 3 for 10. She was getting her chain snatched. All right, for all intents and purposes, UConn and Paige were getting chain snatched. All right, it really felt like, and I texted this to one of my boys. I was like, it very much so feels like that scene from Cars 3 where Jackson Storm goes by, Lightning, and he's like, hey, don't worry, you had a good run. That's what it's felt like has been happening to Paige Beckers and to the UConn program with what happened in Notre Dame and what was happening in this game with Juju just being like, you know what, you had a good run. It's over with, though. But Paige Beckers would not be denied. UConn would not be denied, and they proved why they were at least a top 10 team. And came all the way back. All right, came all the way back, had an opportunity to even win this game, took back the lead, but it was not to be, and USC does hold on to win after Sarah Strong, who had a phenomenal game, by the way. Sarah ends up with 22, 13, and 5, number one freshman. We might have 3 number one picks in this game, which is insane. In retroactive, look down the line, might be 3 number one overall picks. I don't know if that's been done before, maybe a few times, but 3 number one overall picks in one game would be insane. But very possible with the talent we had on the floor. But yeah, Sarah gets fouled on the 3. She hits the first one, but then she clanks the second one. Force misses the third when they actually get it back, but then she kind of forces it instead of, which in a panic situation as a freshman, what are you going to do? So, yeah, that's how it, falls out. USC gets their revenge, 72-70, takes out UConn in a home. Juju finishes with 25, 6, and 5. Kiki Iriafen, 16, 11, and 6. A very quiet 16, 11, and 6, might I add. Paige finishes with 22. Much better second half, but yeah, she's got to put better in that first half. Juju was giving her the business. All right, Juju looked like the better player. Respectfully to Paige, Juju looked like the better player. Again, as I said, right? I saw a little bit of that fire come out in the second half, but I need Paige to carry that throughout. All right, before I give her back the best player in college basketball label. All right, I need her to give that. She's a superstar. Don't get me wrong, but again, in those big moments, you gotta be undisputed, and Paige hasn't necessarily been undisputed compared to her peers. But yeah, missed free throws hurt UConn at the end. Not Sarah's fault though; she had played a great game, and USC was simply just a better team overall, and they get it done. Also, all right, I didn't talk about this, but Wemby is going crazy. I don't want to say that and get that out. Wemby is going crazy. I know Kate Cunningham's been hooping for the Pistons, but yeah, Wemby is going crazy right now. Not a lot of people are talking about it because the Spurs are never on national television because the NBA refuses to market the next big thing, but Wemby is going crazy. But back to what we got on the notes. Y'all said he was washed. Y'all said my GOAT was washed. He is clearly, as you can see now, not washed. All right, the Prince of Paris is back in form. Okay, the best player in the world, maybe. There's a lot of them in contention at this point. Is back in form. All right, Mbappe slowly but surely is recovering and becoming, the turtle we all know, love, and some of you probably hate, or will be hating very, very soon. So yeah, Mbappe back cooking. Scored today against Sevilla. Roddy also scorching hot. Real Madrid, just in general, is getting back in form. It was a rough fall, but winter has come, and the boys in white have suddenly got it going again. So yeah, we will see. Barca is struggling. Okay, Barca is completely crapping their pants, but this happens literally every year. Start off hot. Are they taking La Liga, and then they just choke to Atletico and Real Madrid? So yeah, Barca doing what Barca does, and Real Madrid and Mbappe back into it. You know who's not back into it? Yeah, Manchester is not blue. Manchester is not red. Manchester is brown because both Man City and Man U are pure, unadulterated. Okay, they're terrible. Okay, it is rough. Man U is currently 13th in the Prem at Christmas, which I can't even remember. All right, the last time that happened was far beyond, maybe even when my parents were born. All right, it's insane. All right. Insane. 13th is low for even modern Man U. But Man City, who has rampaged, all right, they've made the Prem into a farmers league, is getting stumped out every single game. They are 1-8-2. That's 1 win, 8 losses, and 2 draws since November started. It's December 22nd. They've won 1 game. They've totaled exactly 5 points. 5 in 2 months. it is rough out here. All right, it is rough out here for Man City. It is ugly, but you know what? After all the years of dominance and the arrogance a little bit, a lot of people are here for this hate watch, and I'm not gonna lie, I'm a little bit here for this hate watch. I'm enjoying the Man City hate watches currently because yeah, it's been rough. It has been rough. Now they have limitless talent, so I won't rule them getting together in January. But in this year, it has been a rough one for Manchester City and also for the Red Devils, who have just been, floundering, even with Almiron taking over. So, yeah, we will see. All right, we will see what happens in the Prem. But, yeah, it was good to talk about soccer again this week. But, yeah, ladies and gentlemen, that was episode 229. And like I said, I hope you guys enjoyed. Merry, 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 Merry Christmas. Without further ado, Ocho signing off.